Hello and welcome to this episode. So today we're going to go through the basics of what is international law and how is it executed, and just the basic few treaties, key treaties that form a fundamental part of the international law. So the UN Charter, in its preamble, sets an objective to establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligations uh, arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained. And according to the United Nations, ever since the development and respect of international law, these have been the key part of the United Nations. And the work is carried out in many ways, such as courts, tribunals, multilateral treaties, and by the Security Council, which can approve peacekeeping missions, impose sanctions, or authorize the use of force when there is a threat to international peace and security, if it is found warranted or necessary. And these are powers are given to the UN through the UN Charter, which is effectively an international treaty. And as such, it's an instrument of international law, and UN members are bound by it. Now, the UN Charter has codification of the major principles of international relations, from sovereignty of equality states to the prohibition of the use of force in international relations. Just a quick description of what international law is. It defines the legal responsibilities of states in their conduct with each other and their treatment of individuals within the boundaries of a state. Its main purview involves a wide range of issues. It encompasses issues of international concern, for example, human rights, disarmament, international crime, migration, problems of nationality, the treatment of prisoners, the use of force, the conduct of war, among various other areas. International law also regulates the global commons, such as the environment, sustainable development, international waters, space, global communications, and of course, world trade. Now, the UN carries out its objectives through the settlements of disputes. I'm talking about legally, and also addresses other war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And it does this for the civil settlement of disputes. So, settlement of disputes. It does this through its principal judicial organ, which is the International Court of Justice, and it's essentially a main body that settles legal disputes submitted to it by the states within the purview or the jurisdiction of international law. It can also give advisory opinions on legal questions that are referred to it from authorized UN organs and specialist agencies. The court is composed of 15 judges who are elected for terms of 9 years by the General Assembly and the Security Council. In relation to addressing war crimes and crimes against humanity and genocide, the UN does it through courts and tribunals. In addition to the International Court of Justice, there are a wide variety of such international courts, ad hoc tribunals, and some of which are UN assisted with varying degrees of relation to the UN, such as the tribunals of the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda, the Special Court for Sierra Leone, B. Extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia, and Special Tribunal for Lebanon. The mechanism for international criminal tribunals, according to the UN, in short called the MICT, was established by the UN Security Council in December 2010 to execute a number of essential functions of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and the International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia after the completion of their respective mandates. And these are established by and as subsidiary organs of the Security Council, which is important to note. On the other hand, the International Criminal Court and the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea were established by conventions drafted within the UN, but are now independent entities with special cooperation agreements. And just last but not least, the main bodies of international law are the Security Council and obviously under international law, the General Assembly and the General Assembly Sixth Committee, which is a legal committee and has the primary forum, is the primary forum for the examination, consideration, preponderance of legal questions in the General Assembly. And all UN members are entitled to representation on this committee as one of the main committees of the General Assembly. Now, the General Assembly, under the UN Charter, has the power to initiate studies and make recommendations to promote the development and codification of international law. And there are many subsidiary bodies of the General Assembly which consider special areas of international law and report to the plenary. And finally, the most legal matters are referred to the Sixth Committee, which then reports to the plenary. For example, the International Law Commission and the UN Commission on International Trade Law report to the General Assembly. Now, the Security Council, in terms of some of the action of the Security Council, they have international law implications, such as those related to peacekeeping missions, ad hoc resolutions, tribunals, sanctions, and resolutions that were adopted under the Chapter 6 of the Charter. And it's important to note that in accordance with Article 13, subsection B of the Rome Statute, the Security Council can refer certain situations to the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court if it appears that international crimes such as genocide, crimes against humanity, war, and crime of aggression have been committed. Now, the UN has various offices such as the International Law Commission, which promotes development of international law and its codification, the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, known in short as UNISTRAL, which is a core legal body of the United Nations system in the field of international trade law, and has universal membership, specializing in commercial law, and a focus on what is termed as the modernization and harmonizations of the rules in international business. There is obviously the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, which sets out a vast, comprehensive regime of law and order in the world's oceans, and it also establishes rules that govern the use of oceans and their resources. Now, there is a division for ocean affairs and law of the sea in the Office of Legal Affairs, which serves as the secretariat of the Convention on the Law of the Sea. Now, that's just sort of a nutshell of just the basics of what international law is and how it manifests itself in the United Nations and the Security Council the specific organs or entities that assist the UN to carry out its mandate under the UN Charter. And so there we shall leave it on this edition in this episode, and we'll talk again on other matters soon. Thank you.